Hi, today I'm going to show you how to replace the flapper valve in your toilet tank. The reason I know this is bad is if you listen very carefully to the water fill valve, there's a slight hiss. And if I pull up on it, it stops. And I just pushed it to make it go again. So if you take a note of where the water level is, probably your best bet would be right against the overflow tube. You can see the shiny spot right there, just next to the float. I'm going to shut the water off and leave it for a couple hours, and that'll show you how you can prove that it most likely is the flapper valve that's at fault. You can shut the water off at the valve at the toilet, but I happen to know that that one doesn't quite shut off quite all the way. So because I'm actually going out for a while, I'm just going to kill the water to the house, which will effectively do the same thing. So I've been gone for approximately 2 hours, and you can see that the water is nowhere near where it was, and the float is all the way down. There's only just a trickle of water left at the bottom there. So that leaves one of two things, either the flapper valve itself or the overflow tube. It's not unheard of that the overflow starts leaking, which is this thing here, but it's rather uncommon. Usually it's the flapper valve, which is made of rubber, and I'll show you how to replace that. Okay, so to remove the flapper, it's actually pretty simple. We'll disconnect the chain, but we'll get to that in a moment, because you can see there's sort of a redneck fix on there. Really, for the flapper, it's rubber, and it just hooks on, just like that. And now down in here, it just sort of hooks onto it. You pull that off, and now it comes out. And now we're going to go ahead and disconnect the chain. Okay, now as you can see, this has had some sort of a redneck repair on it. This was actually binding on the top of the tank when it's on here, and I tried bending it ever so slightly and it just sheared off. So in panic mode, I basically splinted them together with a couple of cable ties here and hot glued everything in place, because the cable ties, the whole thing would just spin around and it wouldn't work. So I can't really remove this hook piece over here too easily, but what I can do is come around, and I know it's kind of tight quarters here, but you can just unhook it from that. I'm going to leave that hook on there to hook the new one up to. So now we'll get the new one out of the package and I'll show you that. So here's the package for the new one. This is a Corky universal fit adjustable. It's actually made in USA for what it's worth. Very simple here. Pretty much what we have are just the two here. And we'll go and compare them, and you'll see the chain is much longer on the new one, and it also comes with this little clasp that, like I said, is sort of permanently fixed in mine. So we're going to make the chains the same length here, and pretty much to do that, I'm just going to take this off for a minute. And I'm going to do this off camera just because it's sort of unwieldy to do it with the camera rolling. Just sort of pick them up, hold them, and kind of guess where it's just about the right length, somewhere in there, and then we'll adjust everything else. So I pretty much have the float at the right place, and now it's just a matter of the chain. There's an easy way to do this, and pretty much what it is you could count, because the whole things are actually identical. This is just what it looks like after many years. You could count the links of the chain, but that's going to be tedious. So we'll kind of guesstimate where it is, and then I'll hold on to that link of the chain and figure it out from there. So I'll do that all off camera, and then you'll see how I attach it when it's done. Okay, here's the new one. Just fish it on down in there. And the goal is to just hook it on the little ears there, just like that. See how it just fits on? Same thing on the other side. That's there. Get this out of the way. And that is pretty much the deal. Now all I have to do is attach the chain to what's left of this clip here. So we can try it actually right here. You got to make sure it's seated down at the bottom. And you kind of want this at its lowest point, so I'm going to guess it's about this link of the chain right here. And now, if I get down in there, it's just a little too tight there. So I have to extend it a little bit. So I'm just going to play around with that for a moment. And this is really all you'll need to do as well. You'll just have to adjust the chain a link or two at a time until you get it just so it's sitting nice and flat and there isn't much play in the chain. Okay, the water is back on, and as you can see, it's refilling. The level of where it was shouldn't change because we didn't adjust anything with the float here. And as it gets down to the very end, you'll hear it hiss for a little bit, so I'll just wait for a moment and make sure that that stops. Okay, it's filled back up. No more sound. And we'll try the flush action. Because I lined up the float there, the yellow float, with the old one about as best I could, it should be a very similar flush action. Might need to adjust that float a little more, and pretty much all you're going to do is just run it up and down the chain a bit till you get exactly where you want it to go. So after playing around for a while, you'll get it dialed in just right, and that is how you replace the flapper valve at the bottom of the toilet. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.